Hello everyone. Today we will continue to follow the emotional and tearful journey of the single mother, Dieu Han. Her story makes many people reflect on love, sacrifice, and the tough decisions in life. Throughout her journey, Dieu Han has always received sincere help from Han, a man who is not afraid of difficulties and always worries and cares for her. However, behind all this, there remains a great mystery: his past. Although always accompanying Dieu Han and helping her every step of the way during her tough times, still keeps his past a secret. Every time she tries to learn more about him, she receives vague answers, making her wonder, how could such a kind-hearted and dedicated man have a past that he wants to hide so much? Dieu Han cannot help but ask herself these questions, but she understands that there must be a reason behind everything, and sometimes there are things that don't need to be known. After saying goodbye to her close friends, the ones who have always been by her side during this journey, Dieu Han feels a sadness that words cannot express. It's a strange feeling, having to part from those she considered family during these difficult times. However, along with the sadness, she also feels a sense of relief. Finally, Han came to find and help Dieu Han, taking her all the way to Jack Lak. This was no ordinary trip. It was not only a physical journey, but also a journey of the soul. She could feel the care and love that Han had for her through every gesture, every word. He wasn't just a friend, a companion, but also a protector, always worried and shielding her. On the road, during the long journey, Dieu Han constantly thanked Han. She knew that his help wasn't easy, especially knowing that he had faced many challenges to be able to help her at this time. Every word of gratitude from her seemed to express all the appreciation and respect she had for him. But Han simply replied gently, "There's no need to thank me. I'm just worried that you might go there and have no one, be deceived or kidnapped. I'm more worried about that than anything else." His words, though soft, were full of meaning. They showed his deep concern for her, not only for her safety, but also because he wanted her to know that no matter what happened, he would always be there to protect and support her. Dieu Han was silent, feeling her heart warm, but also could not help but feel a sense of sadness. She knew she couldn't always depend on others. She needed to stand up on her own, face life and the challenges ahead. After a long journey, Han decided to stop at an amusement park to take a break. He realized that both Dieu Han and Tom needed a little time to relax after the tiring journey. Han lifted Tom up and, together with Dieu Han, walked into the amusement park. The atmosphere here was very different from outside, with cheerful laughter, sparkling lights, and colorful games that made everyone feel like they could forget all their worries. Dieu Han saw Tom happily enjoying himself, his eyes shining as he looked at the various attractions around. She also felt more at ease, knowing they had a comfortable space to relax. The three of them walked through the game zones together, with Tom and Dieu Han occasionally laughing and joking as Tom ran around, enjoying every moment of fun. Tom never stopped keeping an eye on Tom, playing with him, and ensuring that he was always safe. Dieu Han truly felt grateful to have Tom by her side. He wasn't just a friend, but also a protector, always taking care of and worrying about her and Tom. After a while of playing happily with Tom, Dieu Han felt much more at ease. However, when she reached for her pocket, she suddenly realized she had forgotten to bring her wallet. She walked over to Han to borrow the car keys. Han was sitting and resting, and when he saw Han, he smiled gently and handed her the keys without asking anything. Han walked out of the amusement park and headed toward the car parked in the corner. As she approached the car, her gaze suddenly stopped. Before her was a very familiar sight, one that made her heart skip a beat. It was a girl picking up trash, looking worn out in a way that Han had once experienced in the past. The girl appeared weary, her eyes full of sadness, as though looking into her own past. Han remembered the hard times she had lived through, days of struggle, with no place to rely on, having to survive day by day. The scene made her heart ache, and a deep sense of pity stirred within her. Without thinking for long, Han decided to do something. She went back to the nearby beverage stall, bought some food and a drink, then walked toward the girl. Han smiled, looked at the girl, and said, "I see you as the old me, so I wanted to give you a little something, just for fun." With that, Han gently handed her a sandwich and a bottle of water. The girl looked at her in surprise, then slowly accepted them. The girl lifted her gaze, looked at Han for a moment, and then quietly said, "Thank you, sister. Life isn't easy, but I'm still trying. Thank you for helping me." She smiled shyly, her eyes flickering with a faint glimmer, as though searching for a new hope. Han felt warmth in her heart. She knew that even though what she did might seem small, for the person receiving it, it could be a great comfort. She didn't say anything more, just gently patted the girl's shoulder and said, "Hang in there. I hope you'll have a better life. Don't give up hope. There will be people to help you." After that, Han turned and walked away, but in her heart, she still had many thoughts. When Han returned to the car, Han was already waiting for her. He saw her and immediately asked, "Where did you go?" Han slowly replied, "I went to meet a friend." She looked around, then pointed in the direction of the girl picking up trash. Han turned his head and looked back for a long time, his gaze lingering on the familiar figure. After a moment of contemplation, he turned to Han and said, "She looks a bit familiar, but it's probably not her. Do you know her?" "Probably not. I think I just mistook her for someone else. I don't have any friends here," he added. With that, the two of them got into the car and continued on their way back to Jaklak. When Han returned to the car, Han was already waiting for her. He saw her and immediately asked, "Where did you go?" Han slowly replied, "I went to meet a friend." She looked around and then pointed to the girl who had been picking up trash earlier. Han turned his head and looked at the girl. His eyes lingered on her for a while, as if he had seen her long ago. He stared at the girl for a long time, his eyes filled with hesitation, as if he was searching for something from the past. After a while, Han turned back to Han and said cautiously, "She looks a bit familiar, but I'm sure it's not her." He paused for a moment, then continued, "I don't know her. I must have mistaken her for someone else." Han smiled lightly, not saying anything more. She knew that sometimes we come across people or images from the past that leave us confused, but it's not always easy to remember who they are. The two of them got into the car, and Han started the engine. They continued on their journey, heading back to Jaklak. Both sat in silence for a while, but each of them had their own thoughts. On the road, as the journey continued, Han gazed out of the window. her mind still preoccupied with the girl she had met earlier. She began to speak. "I feel like she's like me back in the day, also picking up trash, so I wanted to approach her and chat a little. I think she's probably going through the same struggles I did, just trying to survive." Han spoke with a hint of sadness in her voice, as if the memories of her past were rushing back. Han listened and then asked, "Did you ask her name?" Han hesitated for a moment and replied, "I got so caught up in the conversation that I forgot to ask her name." Han thought for a moment, his eyes focused ahead, but his mind was drifting back to the old days. Could that girl be someone he once knew? The question kept repeating in his mind, with no answers to be found. The sky began to darken, and Han and Tom were both fast asleep, resting peacefully in the car as it continued along the empty road. Han saw lights in the distance, but his heart was not at peace. Suddenly, he decided to stop. Han found an empty plot of land along the road, a quiet and secluded spot, perfect for him to relax for a while. He got out of the car, stretched, and took a deep breath to release some of the tension that had built up inside. Han woke up and noticed that no one was beside her. She looked around for a while before opening the car door and stepping out. She saw Han sitting alone in the empty field, looking tired but also quite relaxed. She hurried over and asked, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Han smiled and replied, "I'm fine, just resting a bit to ease the numbness in my legs." "You get back in the car first. I'll drive on after." Han looked at him for a moment, but then understood and decided to sit with him for a while. The two sat in silence, feeling that sometimes just having each other's presence was enough. After a while, Han got back in the car, and Han remained sitting there. Han sat quietly, his eyes gazing into the distance, his mind busy with thoughts that were hard to shake off. He remembered the scene earlier in the afternoon when he saw the girl picking up trash. Everything seemed so familiar. It felt as if he had met her somewhere before, in a place very close in the past. He recalled the days when he was a student, playing with his friends, those carefree years. There was a girl in his group, someone he had secretly liked, but that was in the past. And now, who was she? Was she his ex-girlfriend, or was it just a strange coincidence of memories? These thoughts kept swirling around in Than's head. He wondered if he had made a mistake. The feeling left him uneasy, as if something was unfamiliar that he couldn't explain. Was that girl someone he once knew? Would the old memories return to clear everything up? Or was it just a misunderstanding? Finally, the car continued its journey toward Jack Lock, leaving behind unanswered questions. Tan and Han didn't say anything more, but each of them carried with them feelings that were hard to put into words. Who knows? Life might lead them to meet again one day, or perhaps this was just a brief encounter that they would never fully understand.
Hân nhìn anh một lúc, nhưng rồi cô cũng hiểu, quyết định ngồi lại một chút cùng anh. Cả hai im lặng, cảm giác dường như chỉ cần sự hiện diện của nhau là đủ. Một lúc sau, Hân lên xe, còn Thành vẫn ngồi đó. Thành ngồi im lặng, mắt nhìn xa xăm, tâm trí anh bận rộn với những suy nghĩ khó xua đi. Anh nhớ lại cảnh buổi chiều, khi anh nhìn thấy cô gái nhặt ve chai, mọi thứ đều rất quen thuộc, cảm giác như anh đã từng gặp cô gái ở đâu đó, một nơi rất gần trong quá khứ. Anh nhớ lại những ngày còn là học sinh, vui đùa cùng đám bạn, những năm tháng vô lo vô nghĩ, lúc đó có một cô gái trong nhóm bạn của anh, người mà anh từng thích, nhưng chuyện đó đã là quá khứ. Và bây giờ cô gái ấy là ai? Cô ấy có phải là người yêu cũ của anh không? Hay chỉ là một sự trùng hợp kỳ lạ của những ký ức? Những suy nghĩ ấy cứ xoay quanh trong đầu Thành. Anh tự hỏi liệu có phải anh đã nhìn nhầm không? Cảm giác đó khiến anh cảm thấy khó chịu, như thể có một cái gì đó lạ lẫm mà không thể lý giải được. Liệu cô gái kia có phải là người anh từng biết? Liệu những ký ức xưa cũ có quay lại chứng tỏ tất cả, hay chỉ là sự hiểu nhầm?